ahead
A
before
tiny
our
bit, just a
transition.
tiny
Yeah.
bit, yes.
Yeah. It's okay. That's how you know it's live.
That's true.
Please introduce yourself. Let's start with Wei. Wei, tell us a little bit about you and what you're here to talk about.
Hello, everyone. My name is Wei. I'm the manager of CloudFormation StackSets team. Our team has about 13 engineers, and our team is an independent service in CloudFormation. We have a CloudFormation to scale up for multiple regions and multiple accounts. So imagine that if you own like hundreds and even thousands of accounts, you need some service to manage all those accounts. And StackSets is the service that help you to make that happen. So I have been in CloudFormation for about like 2 years, and with the Amazon whole company for about 9 years. Yeah, that's about me.
Nice. Please. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, it's my turn now. It's my cue, right?
Yes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Parijat. I am the senior product manager for StackSets. I've been part of the Amazon family for almost 1.5 years, and I'm a new member to the StackSets team. So really excited to be on the show. Thank you, Am. Thank you, Steve, for hosting our team. And thank you, AWS on Air. So excited to be on the call.
Awesome. All right. So we're here today to talk about StackSets, which fall into the larger category of CloudFormation. So we've talked about CloudFormation a lot on this show in the past. Love CloudFormation personally. Can you give us just a quick, maybe like less than a minute introduction to what CloudFormation is for anybody who has yet to use it, who's watching?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Am. So CloudFormation is one of the IAC tools that we provide as part of AWS offering. And what we mean by IAC is like infrastructure as code. So today, when you're trying to orchestrate, manage, and provision a lot of these infrastructure, it gets a lot of like muddy. There's a lot of like manual processes that you have to do. And we wanted to simplify that. So CloudFormation provides you a simple JSON or YAML template that allows a declarative format of provisioning that kind of cloud infrastructure. So what StackSet does differently, or it kind of enhances the capacity and capability of CloudFormation is CloudFormation today, the templates can provision that architecture for a single region, single account. StackSet enhances and makes it scalable, right? So you have cross account, cross region, and all of those kind of infrastructure deployment, which StackSet makes it as simple as single operation. So so that's I hope that kind of answers your question, Am. But yeah, we have a lot of customers. We have enterprise customers from ranging from healthcare industry to automotive industry, the energy sector using our products. Really excited to talk about some of the use cases and how to get started with StackSet.
Yeah, so you mentioned use cases, right? So let's roll back a little bit. So you just introduced what StackSets kind of are. Let's dig a little bit deeper into exactly what they are, and what are the use cases that these are particularly aimed at. Where are the benefits of adopting StackSets, say, over just a single CloudFormation template?
That is an excellent question, Steve. So there are a couple of very popular use cases where customers are using us for. So one of the most famous one is bootstrapping AWS accounts. So if you really want to baseline a lot of your organization units, your teams, and ensure like there are certain governance or policies that you want to make sure as part of that baselining process, StackSet becomes like a very good solution for that. But there are also other complex problems that you can solve with StackSets. One particular one that comes to my mind is disaster recovery. So a lot of enterprise customers really use StackSets in tandem with AWS Backup to have that kind of a disaster recovery solution. There are also interesting problems where customers are using our product to collect data about the cost or like how much the resources are really like being utilized, right? So you have cross account, cross region, a lot of resources being deployed. How do I now estimate what's going on? So there are a lot of these variety of problems that you can solve with our tool. But again, at the base of it, StackSets, what it does, it allows you to manage, provision, and orchestrate cloud infrastructure, cross account, cross region within the AWS ecosystem. So, and I hope that kind of like answers the question, Steve.
Yeah, the cross account, cross region particularly seems like a big win, right? Especially for enterprises, right?
Yes.
Where who knows what extent of infrastructure they're trying to provision across, I don't know how many accounts and regions, right? That does sound like a really huge benefit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Sorry, I was gonna move us into so you told us earlier when we were talking before the show about the two different methods of working with StackSets. I believe, the self-service model and the service model. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. Can you tell us more about those, please, and how that factors into using stack sets?
Alrighty. So today, whenever a customer comes on to StackSets, right, like you suggested, that there is the self model and the service model. So let's just look into the service model first. So within the service model, what we do is we kind of like orchestrate or help the customer have a managed experience of their product. Whereas the self, if I had to really simplify, is you are doing the orchestration of like, which is your target audience, and you're going on the console and CLI and doing it through ClickOps or even DevOps to maintain and target all of the infrastructure. Within the service model, what we do is, as a team, we kind of take on the role of the provisioning on a customer side. If you want to deploy an infrastructure to an organization unit, the service model plays like a very critical role in that. So if I really had to simplify this, the self model is where we give the power and the flexibility of the orchestration to the user. Whereas in the service model, it's again goes back to the managed experience where we take on the role of that provisioning for the customer.
Okay. We have some questions coming in from chat, specifically about the disaster recovery use case that you mentioned earlier. Is there any way you can go a little more in depth into what that looks like and how it's employed with StackSets?
We do have amazing blogs that kind of talk about
nice.
it, but I will definitely share the link within the internal channel once that's done. But if I had to go like 10,000 feet on the air to just talk about how disaster recovery really works, a few of our customers, what they do is you have, let's say, within an organization unit, you have a multiple AWS account for one region, right? And you want to have another backup region, right, with all the same AWS account. So what you can easily do with StackSets is you can provision, you can have, let's say, a leader stack template where you're creating that depends on dependency between these multiple StackSets and have some sort of like a global KMS key that you are kind of replicating in these other regions within the same organization. So that kind of like really plays a very nifty role in like that disaster recovery piece. Although that being said, we have comprehensive like blogs, and we also have a lot of workshop that kind of dwells a layer deeper into it. So I would definitely request the audience to go on the search engines and find it out. And I'll definitely share that once we're done with this podcast today.
Cool. So I don't know about you, Ian, but I'm kind of thinking that now would be a good time for a demo.
Yeah. Let's see
this
in action.
Maybe we can talk about it. Yeah.
Get more ideas from that too, for sure. Are you ready, Wei?
Yeah.
All
So
right.
let's see a cool demo for StackSets. All right. So let's switch screen. Right. So you can find the StackSets service under CloudFormation. So in the console, just go to CloudFormation. And here you can find the StackSets. So today we are going to do a demo to create a StackSets in the service managed model. So in order to use the service managed model for StackSets, first you need to create your own AWS organization. AWS organization previously we mentioned it's a directory service that allow you to manage your AWS accounts in a hierarchy structure, so that you can group your accounts by, let's say, by organization, by your team. So let me first bring you to AWS organization. AWS organization is an independent service. So StackSets has close integration with AWS organization. So you can see that here I create a sample org for my team. I call it my team, and under this OU, that is organizational unit, I put a couple of my testing account, the test account 1 and the test account 2.
So why can I just ask you a quick question while you're doing that? This ties to the service model, right?
Yes, exactly.
Organizations. Okay.
Right. So the good thing for a service model is that it's a fully managed experience, so that once your StackSet is integrated with your AWS organization, so for any operations like adding or removing an account, your StackSets associated with this org will automatically to create and remove the Stack instance for you. So it's a kind of like a hand-free experience.
Okay. Thanks.
So once you have this organization setup ready, you can go back to StackSet. And create a new stack set is very simple. So the default option is the service managed permission, and you can upload your own template. So in this case, let me choose a sample file.
Are stack sets only at the organizational unit, or can I have one like at the account level too?
That's a good question. So it depends on the model. So in the self-service permission, so that means you have a full control of what you want to deploy to. Definitely, you can select individual accounts. And in the service managed permission, the default target is organization units.
Okay.
You can select multiple OUs. But in addition to that, we provide you a filter so that you can target specific accounts. For example, let's say I know that one account currently is broken. I want to avoid that account. So you can apply that filter to avoid deployment to that account. We can go through that later.
That's cool. Awesome. Thank you.
Right. So once we have the template, let's go to the next step. Let's give it a name. Let's say AWS on air demo.
That proves it's live.
All those are default parameters. Let's go to here. So here you can see there are a couple of options. One is to create a new stack, and in addition to that, we also allow you to import your existing stacks to StackSet, so that can help you avoid to tear down your existing stack and recreate them in StackSet.
Oh, so if I have an existing CloudFormation template, I could still use it with this?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. All right.
And here we call it deployment targets. In service managed model, you can target either the root OU, which will apply to all the accounts in your AWS organization, or you can target a specific OU. So in our case, let's target the OU I just created. It's called my team. So let's copy the OU ID here and put it here. And here it comes to the filter I just mentioned. So if you say that in my org, I want to skip some accounts, or I only want to target a specific accounts, you can use this filter. It's called a count filter. So you can select the type of filter like intersection, difference, and union. Those filters, they have a different functionality. Like intersection, it allows you to include only specific accounts. Difference will exclude some accounts, and the union will allow you to include some accounts in additional to the existing OU.
Got some set mathematics. There.
Yeah. And once you have those information ready, you can click next.
Yes. Region.
Yeah, you need to provide region. So let's select multiple regions because that is the advantage for StackSet. Let's select US East and US West.
Okay.
Click next. It will generate a summary. So let's review it and make sure everything is ready. Okay, just submit.
Nice. So this is like built-in multi-region redundancy then.
Yes, exactly.
I love that.
So we can see that the deployment is currently running. And you can also see what stack instances are being created. You can see that currently there are 4 stack instances. The initial state is always outdated, so don't panic and just keep.
I like it. Don't panic.
Right. So
there's one current. Yeah.
The first one is already created.
Yep.
Let's keep refreshing. The second one is ready. Third one is ready.
Right.
All right.
So multiple regions, multiple accounts. This is all getting deployed across the board to all of those from one essentially configuration point when you created that stack set. You didn't have to go and make sure these went out into all these different regions and accounts.
Yeah. Now, what I'm wondering at this point is, you did that cross-region, cross-account deployment from the console, but does this play nicely with automation?
Yes. Success is available in both CLI, command line, and
Okay.
also SDK. So you can write your own script and your own service to invoke Success.
Okay.
I'll
So
ask
if I
one
was setting
more-
up a CI/CD pipeline, I could still use this to use the CI/CD pipeline to target this cross-region, cross-account.
Yes, exactly.
Right,
And the
yeah.
Success also has the integration with AWS code pipeline, so that you can set up a pipeline that initiated from your a repository, for example, like a GitHub. Whenever you make a change to your template, it will trigger the event through the code pipeline and automatically update your stack set.
That's nice.
One other thing too, CDK. Wait, can I access stack sets in the CDK?
Yes, of course. We are integrated with CDK.
I love it. I love it.
I like it. I always like the answer of yes, of course. That is a great answer.
Anything else to show us, Wei? We could bring Parajat back in if not.
Well, that's it for the demo. So you can see that creating a new stack set in the service management model is quick and easy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice.
Right.
Yeah, that was easy. Yeah.
Nice. All right, let's get your screen off and let's get Parajat back in. There we go. How's it going, Parajat? Thanks for. Sorry, we needed the real estate so we could see everybody. And
No worries, Wei. I mean, I'm sorry. Wei, excellent demo. I hope like the audience today learned something new about our product, and just so simple it is to use stack sets. It's not like very complicated, just a few click ops, and there you go. Boom. You can like launch multi-region, multi-account.
Or automation.
All automation, anything, right?
yeah, let me ask the probably the obvious question. This is my superpower, by the way. I always like to say this is my superpower. Ask the obvious, sometimes stupid questions. That's kind of my thing. So, what happens when I update like the template? Can I update the actual underlying CloudFormation template from the stack set level, and then have those updates, just fan out to all of those accounts and all of those regions? How do I handle modifications essentially to the underlying CloudFormation template?
That's a good question. So if you update your template, you can run update stack instance operation in stack set. So that will automatically to create the change set and find out which stack instances are different from your new template.
Okay, cool.
Oh yeah,
Steve.
and one short plug here, right? We recently launched this thing called account level targeting, something that we were just alluding to in the demo, with the whole intersection, difference, and union, because we did want to provide some sort of flexibility to our customers in the managed experience. So let's say you want to skip a bunch of AWS accounts from your organization unit and you want to just deploy in a hyper-specific pool of accounts, or even like skip it out, you can use that account level targeting. We just launched it last month, so we are very much excited. We see this feature has a really great adoption. So any user of StackSets who's on the service model, feel free to use our new feature.
Nice. I'm going to ask a two-parter question here. Number one, I'm a customer. I use StackSets. I want to ask for a new feature. How do I do that? Do you have a way of getting feature requests from customers? And number two, what's on your radar, right? Like what have you heard from customers that you're interested in looking into adding to StackSets? Anything you can talk about there?
That is an excellent question, So I guess depending on the customer type, if you're an enterprise customer who is deeply integrated with AWS service, do feel free to reach out to your respective technical account managers, because we do have an internal tool that collects all of these information that customers have requested. But if you are, let's say, an individual developer or maybe a startup that's just starting out, so you can just go to the console itself. The console has a feedback tool as part of the console offering. So we do collect and see all the featured updates from the console. And the third channel that I would recommend is just reaching out to us on Twitter. So CloudFormation, we have like a very active Twitter handle. So if you just tweet us saying that, hey, we don't like your tool, fix this problem, I can definitely guarantee you one of us will get pinged. We will look into it and we will definitely work and fix it. But the main question that you've asked, Am, is like, what are some of the things that we are excited about this year, right?
Yeah.
Or in the upcoming future. So a lot of our customers have requested that they would want visibility about the failed stack instances. So today, when you are using StackSet, you can set some sort of like modularity in terms of your concurrency and your failure tolerance. And let's say if your failure tolerance is set to 0, our engine will definitely go on deploying the infrastructure irrespective of within a stack instance level the failure is happening or not. So what we wanted to provide is provide that one sense of visibility to our customers so that they get an impression of what are some of the failed instances that are happening during a deployment of StackSets, and also provide the visibility of drifted resources. So today, if you have a StackSet and there is an underlying drifted resources, you have to move back and forth multiple consoles and like go to different accounts to really see and zoom into like which one was a drifted one. So we do want to have a simplified experience where you get all of that experience without moving into multiple tools and have it on the go. There are also other interesting things that we are currently looking into, such as like integrating ourselves with AWS Event Bridge so that customers get a log, like they get the log of a lot of these events that in terms of updating a StackSet, creating StackSet, so on and so forth. And also we're thinking about scalability. Today, as you all know, StackSet has limits, and we want to expand that limits because we see that it is one of the barriers of scalability for a lot of our customers. So be on a lookout for all of those interesting things coming down in the horizon.
Yeah, that sounds cool. If I'm not using StackSets today, very briefly, because we're really close on time, is where should I go?
There is a blog which talks about how to get started with StackSet. So I will post it on the channel, and that easily explains how to like get started with the self and service model. But that being said, there are a lot of other YouTube content that we are planning to create. We also are hoping that we keep coming, be a recurring member of the show. So next month we do plan to showcase like how to really start building your application cross account and cross region. Last month we were joined by our excellent partners at Capital One. So we do expect to keep coming back to the show, showcase our product, and that would be hopefully help a lot of our customers out there.
Cool.
All right. That's wonderful. Wayne, Persia, thank you so much for joining us. And we'll see you back again. It sounds like maybe next month.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.